Let's welcome in Mike Renner and Emory Hunt to talk about teams that are ready to spend big in free agency. Now that the Chargers have their center, Mike, do you think they'll shift their focus to addressing defense in free agency?
I do, because they have this massive hole at the edge. They need a pass rusher with Odafe Oweh hitting free agency, Khalil Mack hitting free agency. It's really just Tuli Tuipulotu, and a team that has the most cap space in the NFL, even after that deal with Tyler Biadasz. I think they could shoot for the moon this free agency. I see a guy in Trey Hendrickson, kind of the crown jewel of this edge rushing class in free agency, who averaged 75 pressures a year when healthy for the Cincinnati Bengals. I think he's a guy that would just turn this pass rush around overnight. Now, the Chargers' sort of strategy in free agency recently has been budget deals, like the Biadasz one. That's kind of where they've made their money. But I think with how much cap space they have to play with, they can not only do some of those budget deals, they can do a little splash one too to turn this team around.
Yes, certainly Hendrickson would be a splash for any team, right? On to the Titans now. They have a long list of needs. Emory, where is a good place to start for them in free agency?
Well, it was going to be edge, but Mike took my guy. So I'll give Mike, that one for, the Chargers, because they do need it, as well as Tennessee. Maybe they can go Odafe Oweh as a second option. But so let's focus on the offensive line. With Biadasz being signed by the Chargers, I'm going to go with Tyler Linderbaum here for the Tennessee Titans. You want to get your pivot correct. If you're strong right down the battery, you're a very good football team. That's quarterback, running back, center, nose tackle, Mike Backer, free safety. They have the nose tackle. They have the quarterback. They got a depth of options at running back. So let's get the center position straight with Linderbaum. I think that's someone they can get. And because you have that familiarity with Brian Daboll, why not go and get a reclamation project at guard in Evan Neal, see if he can, respond and rebound to a new scenery, new environment, and get the best out of his career in Tennessee.
All right, well, the Seahawks are expected to lose some key players when free agency begins next week. And I'm looking at defense, Mike. What happens if Tariq Woolen leaves?
Yeah, I think he will likely leave because he doesn't really fit the ethos of this defense. He kind of sticks out like a sore thumb with his up and down play and his lack of physicality as a tackler. So I think they would be looking for a guy who's more of a Seahawks defender, this hard-nosed sort of corner. And to me, that's Jamel Dean in free agency. The Bucs corner, who's obviously won a Super Bowl with them, but at 29 years old, with all that the Bucs have drafted in recent years at the cornerback position, he looks expendable. So the Seahawks are in this unique position with $58 million of cap space coming off a Super Bowl where they were easily the best team in the NFL, right? So I think they could use this cap space to go look elsewhere to see, hey, where can we still improve this roster? Because that's what John Schneider's done historically. So Dean just feels like a perfect sort of culture fit there, and he allowed a sub-50 completion percentage last year. For all those reasons, I think if they added him, this defense could be even scarier next year.
And that's a scary thought. Mike, you keep getting these teams that, have won, a team that was in the Super Bowl. Emory, you keep getting these guys that have a lot of work to do. And we're talking about the Jets here. Finding a quarterback likely top on their to-do list. Do they wait for the draft, or do they think they try to find one in free agency?
See, Tiffany, you said a lot of work to do. I heard that as a lot of money to spend. So if you got the money to spend, sometimes you got to shop in your supermarket, right? I know that's what Jonathan Jones brought up when, they may not have the best options. Geno Smith coming back would be a good option. Quiet as kept, Zach Wilson being a good bet to come back would be a good option, because I like how he played in Miami and also in Denver. Maybe he's more mature, ready to go now. But if you got a lot of money to spend, why don't you go out and get your quarterback in Kyler Murray? How about you bring him to New York? He has probably the best run game he's had in his career with the trio of backs they have in, Braylon Allen. They just franchised the tailback there earlier in free agency. They still have Isaiah Smith as well, Isaiah Wilson. Then you also look at their receiving core. Garrett Wilson, they have a receiver. They have good tight ends, good offensive line. Maybe this is the best setup for a Kyler Murray. Breece Hall is a running back they just franchised. So many names in my head has slipped me. So I would go after Kyler Murray. I think this would be a good setup for him offensively speaking. And on defense, you bring in the edge rusher and Draymond Jones. I feel like he's the type that an Aaron Glenn would like coming off the edge. I like what he did last year coming in when he did for the Baltimore Ravens and improved their pass rush. This is a chance for him to get that second swing at the bat in terms of hitting free agency and getting paid as a top-tier pass rusher. I think that's a place they can go for him and for that need. But quarterback, definitely got to go with Kyler Murray.
Emory, some teams need to apply the way that you shop for clothes, big spending. We see the tie there, to the way they shop in free agency, right? That's what we're doing here.
People helping people. That's all, especially out here in New York, you got to go big.
See, there you go. All right, Mike, let's go big again. We got the Rams up. They would like to find themselves back in the Super Bowl. They do need a boost defensively. Is that where they go?
I think so. And they've already started trying to improve this coverage unit, but even if they don't have a ton of cap space, just over $27 million to play with, I think they push it to the edge. I think with Matt Stafford at 38 years old, they really try to fix what ailed this team last year as best they can. And I think linebacker Devin Lloyd would be the perfect piece to fill out this defense, because Nate Landman, Omar Spates, their linebackers right now, they are not coverage linebackers. They were so weak over the middle of the football field in terms of being able to shut down opposing passing attacks, which is unfortunately where the Seahawks like to live in their passing attacks. So they need to improve there. Devin Lloyd, about as good as it was in coverage last year at the position in the NFL. 5 interceptions, great feel for zone coverage. And the Rams love elite players, regardless of positions. He's a kind of elite talent that can make everybody else's life easier there. So would not surprise me if he ends up a Ram.
Certainly, he's a hot commodity out there. The Cardinals are now without a quarterback after releasing Kyler Murray. Mike, I know that there are some other needs they need to address as well, but who should they target if they want a QB in free agency? Let's go with Emory on that one.
I will say this. The Cardinals have been fighting relevancy since they were the Chicago Cardinals, since people forgot they were called the Phoenix Cardinals and now switched over to Arizona. So you got to make a big splash. You have a lot more cap space to play with. You said they need a quarterback, Tiffany. Why not go and get Malik Willis? When you look at what they've done the last 3 to 4 years in the draft, I like the fact that they've drafted rather well. So this team, to me, is not that far off. I think they can make a run for the postseason if they get stability at quarterback. And what we've seen from Malik Willis so far in his short stint at Green Bay is the fact that he's improved on what he did in Tennessee. And to be completely honest, when we look at what he did the last preseason he was in Tennessee, he looked like the guy that we saw last year in Green Bay. So I like the fact that he's trending upwards. This would be a great fit for the Arizona Cardinals. And what you want to do with him is get another tailback and Kenneth Walker, another big splash to help that run game get up and go.
All right, well, let's stay out west with you, Mike. Let's talk about the Raiders now. What are you looking for them to do?
They got to get weapons for Fernando Mendoza. I think we all know that he's going #1 overall to the Raiders, but he doesn't really have anyone to throw to, right? They don't have a #1 wide receiver after they traded away Jacoby Myers. You got a couple tight ends, and I think their tight end room is great, and I think it's exactly what Clint Kubiak wants, but you need someone to draw defenders down the football field to open up things underneath and intermediate for Brock Bowers, for Michael Mayer. So that guy, it's Alec Pierce from the Indianapolis Colts, the NFL's leader in yards per reception in each of the last 2 seasons, probably the most feared deep threat in the NFL, at least the best one on the market right now. And he'll get paid a lot, but it will make a lot of sense for this Clint Kubiak offense, because off those play action passes, you need someone taking the corner, taking the safety, taking 2 guys down the field, so that you got only one guy guarding Brock Bowers. And if you got only one guy guarding Brock Bowers, he's going to eat. So they need it. I think this is the best fit for him in free agency.
Yeah, if Brock Bowers is free, that is a problem. Emory, on to the Commanders. They may need to spend really big in free agency. What positions do you want to see them target?
3 specific positions with young, improving vets. You have Najee Harris in the run game looking to bounce back off that injury. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka as an edge rusher, young, improving pass rusher. And on the inside of the offensive line, how about Mekhi Becton, bringing him back out to the East Coast and see if he can reclaim what he did with the New York Jets, the Philadelphia Eagles, before he went out west to the Chargers.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for the great insight. We'll get you guys, always back on the show here, and you always have us covered when it comes to free agency. You can check out the Pushing the Pile podcast with Mike Renner as your host. You can scan that QR code on the right side of your screen.